Well, it's a great pleasure to be back at the Westport Saloon in the chilly parlor bar, drinking Four Roses whiskey and not caring, well, and liking where I am. And I'm sorry to the ghost of Guy Clark. My name is Willi Carlisle. I'm going to sit up here and do folk songs and original songs and songs that I have written and songs that I learned from old folks in the Ozarks and songs that I learned from old hymnals and songs that I learned in churches and songs that I learned on the crapper and songs that I learned pretty much a little bit everywhere. I'm going to start off with this. I'm testing out a bunch of new gear tonight, so if you hear a big feedback, woo, just know that's for you. And that's my inner little girl at your inner Miley Cyrus concert, just sort of crying out for love and forgiveness. Okay, I'm going to start off with my little folk singular oblation, my folk singular ululation. It's called What the Rocks Don't Know. I write a verse of it every time I go out on tour. I got a brand new verse here that I don't know what I think about yet tonight. It goes like this. After 29 years, I can say I never thought it'd turn out this way. Stumble and a stutter, stutter and a cry. Ain't gonna figure out a reason why. The song hurts my throat, the banjo cuts my side. Hear the road crying out through the railroad ties. Road crying out through the railroad ties. I'm gonna tell 'em, well, love, your light don't show down by the truck stop highway glow. Lord knows where I'll go when the road cries out what the rocks don't know. Road cries out what the rocks don't know. Well, all my friends in Arkansas, all alone in Maine, 6 to 1, half dozen's the same. No back bay sailing, no great divide. Mississippi deep, Rappahannock wide. Angel's wings on a Walmart sign. Angel's wings on a Walmart sign. And I did that for a room full of rich people in Bentonville, Arkansas, where Walmart stations are founded right up there. And they did not find that line to be ironic in the way that I thought that they would, but they went, woo, as if I was singing out to their inner Miley Cyrus, which I was not doing at all. I told them, well, love, your life don't show down by the truck stop highway glow. Lord knows where I'll go when the road cries out what the rocks don't know. Road cries out what the rocks don't know. Well, all I want is sex and old-time religion, 6-piece and a biscuit, Bojangles, fried chicken, put tamales in my coffin, dig my grave with a fork. I love to eat, I hate to work. Love to eat and I hate to work. I'm gonna tell 'em, well, love, your light don't show down by the truck stop highway glow. Lord knows where I'll go when the road cries out what the rocks don't know. Road cries out what the rocks don't know. Here's the Kansas City verse. Well, Kansas City Rib Shack, baby, you're mine. Give me the pig, the cow, and the swine. My weights, my love, my shimmy, my shine. Damn, I found Jesus in a barbecue line. Damn, I found Jesus in a barbecue line. And I mean a vinegar-based barbecue sauce because molasses-based barbecue sauce is a crime against humanity. I told him, well, love, your light don't show down by the truck stop highway glow. Lord knows where I'll go when the road cries out what the rocks don't know. Road cries out what the rocks don't know. Well, I'd like to see the world in living color. One color's just the absence of the others to get the whole spectrum of horror and elation. I'm gonna call good time numbers at a Conoco station. Good time numbers at a Conoco station. I'm gonna tell them, well, love, your light don't show down by the truck stop highway glow. Lord knows where I'll go when the road cries out what the rocks don't know. 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 Thank you. Well, a rich man stole a poor man's wife. Poor man stuck him with a Barlow knife. Two little engines, one old squaw sitting on the banks of the Arkansas. Two old ladies lying in a bed, and each one wishing that the other was a man. One turned over to the other and said, "Grease that wooden leg, Sally Ann." Well, I'm a man. I'm a man, not a little boy. Say, I'm a man. I'm a man, not a little boy. Thank you. That's a real dumb tune. That's an old tune called Barlow Knife. Got all this new gear. Don't have any of the jokes to make up for not knowing quite how any of it works. So I'm just going to sing things at random while I figure out how all this stuff goes together. Because I'm a low-tech person. That's because I'm an actual folk singer that sings actual folk songs. Which means that we don't have a whole lot of time to do things like figure out how all of this technology stuff works. So here we go. Here's a microphone on a banjo. Isn't that what God intended? The answer is not at all. God did not intend this. Can y'all hear that? Is it coming through? Let me make sure that this is all set up. I got my, I have my. That a little better? All right, I'm going to do the dumbest folk song that I know. What's that? No signal, eh? Can't explain it. Can't explain it. Well, this is in. This is in. That's in. Ooh. There it is. That's on me. Now that's you know what that is? That's a technological device that we call a switch. And I'm just now becoming familiar with switches. Still no? Well, how is that? Well, I mean, it's meant to be dropped. No mutes. I mean, that's all the way on. That's all the way in. I guess we might have to here. That's no. In fact, it needs no phantom power. You want to use that thing for the guitar still? I guessed. All right. This is a great technical difficulties joke that I just came up with. That it didn't come to me when I said I just came up with it. Suffice to say, that's Travis Fields there on the assist here. That is your gentleman proprietor of the Westport Saloon right here. Well, that's what it's actually supposed to sound like right there. Okay, great. Thanks, everybody, for your patience. You can get your money back. Oh, right, yeah. Oh, right, forget about you. You didn't pay me. What is it that hookers get to say now? Up yours, pay me? Something like that, as we're entering a sex-positive environment. I'd also like to enter a musician-positive environment. That's a slippery rhetorical slope, actually. I want to get right off. I'm just going to slip right down that slippery rhetorical slope into someplace I really don't want to be. Okay, here's the dumbest folk song that I know. Here we go. Back on track here. I'm as free a little bird as I can be. I'm as free a little bird as I can be. I'm gonna build my house in that weeping willow tree, where them bad boys can't bother me. I won't build my nest in the air. I won't build my nest in the air. But I'm gonna build a nest in my sweet darling's breast, fly all around in her hair. I'm as free a little bird as I can be. I'm as free a little bird as I can be. I'm gonna build my house in that weeping willow tree, them bad boys can't bother me. And I won't steal the honey from a bee. I won't steal the honey from a bee. But I'm gonna steal a kiss from my sweet darling's lips, sail away far across the sea. 'Cause I'm as free a little bird as I can be. I'm as free a little bird as I can be. I'm gonna build my house in that weeping willow tree, where them bad boys can't bother me. I'm gonna build my house in that weeping willow tree, where them bad boys can't bother. Oh no, they can't bother. Oh no, they can't bother me. Thank you very much. Musical acrobatics. I'll take that. You know, there's a Kansas City Juggling Society, and they will not book me. And I don't know what it is that they have against juggling banjos and why juggling beanbags is super cool. But they got my contact information, so any of you jugglers out there, let them know what they're missing out on. There's few places more pretentious than a gathering of jugglers. A gathering of the juggalos, on the other hand, that's a very egalitarian place, I hear. All right, I'm going to do an old hymn here. I learned this from Uncle Dave Macon. Bible's true, I've been reading it, babe. Bible's true, I've been reading it. Wanna get to heaven, you better believe it, babe. Oh, loving babe. Well, round the mountain I must go, babe. Round the mountain I must go. Anything changes, let you know, babe. Oh, loving babe. Well, the sweetest thing in all my roaming, babe, sweetest thing in all my roaming's just the kiss of a pretty strange woman, babe. Oh, loving babe. Oh, loving babe. And the Israelites, they were getting it hard, babe. The Israelites, they were getting it hard. God gave Moses a union card, babe. Oh, loving babe. And Moses stood on the Red Sea shore, babe. Moses stood on the Red Sea shore, beat the water with his 2x4, babe. Oh, loving babe. Oh, loving babe. And God made woman for the glory of man, babe. God made woman for the glory of man. It's about all the glory I can stand, babe. Oh, loving babe. Oh, loving babe. Oh, loving babe. Oh, loving babe. Thank you. I thought I heard somebody out there in the audience whispering to somebody else, hey, how about those early 20th century banjo pieces that you learned from pieces of sheet music, Willie? I mean, it was very quiet, but it was subtle. So I'm going to do a difficult piece. We got one out there. You just got to find the one pervert obsessed with early 20th century banjo music out there in the audience. Not doing it left-handed. I'm doing it backwards left-handed. That's almost as good. All right, so this was a tune published in 1915. This was one of the most popular pieces of banjo sheet music from back then, if you can imagine. It's called the Under the Mill Dam Gallop. Hold on, it's coming. That's just to appease all the 19th century banjo fans out there, or the early 20th century banjo fans out there. You know, and that, I got to say, it was a more civilized age back then. You know, imagine. I know that we live in a vulgar age now, but imagine, you know, being still able to die from syphilis. What a great time it seems like it was back then. Anyways, I like this old music though, because not just because it's obscure, but because I actually do. I end up hearing it, and I look at the sheet music, and I hear it in my head, and I truly like it. It's no lie. What do I do with my big harmonica here? All right, I'm going to do one of my favorite old folk songs. This is from an anarchist folk singer named Utah Phillips. Was from Utah, as you might expect, given his name. And one of my favorite songs of all time. This is called "She'll Never Be Mine." And is that giving you any signal still? So I think that I've just used a shitty battery in this thing, and that no matter how much I tried to make it happen, I used an old battery, and that's what I get. That's got to be what's happening. What's that? I have a power cable. You have a power cable, do you? What do you think, Travis? Do we want a power cable? Let's do it, brother. All right. I will do a song, and we will get it. Very fine. Okay. All right. These folk songs sound better unplugged anyways. All right. She'll Never Be Mine. Utah Phillips. Starting out of tune there. Man, let's see if something else can go wrong. I want to get somebody to throw a chair at me before the end of the night. I actually have never gotten in a fight in Westport. I'm ready tonight. Give those those guards with guns and metal detectors something to think about. Somebody to be afraid of. Anyhow, this is a sweet old folk song. My love is a river where the white waters pour. I hunted and trapped her by the gates of Lodore. She sings with the spirit of a cool mountain rain, where I won her bright silver in a high Coeur d'Alene. She'll never be mine. She'll never be mine. Though I want all her treasures so simple and fine, I know she'll never be mine. My love is Montana and the high Douglas fir, and many long summers I labored for her. I followed her begging all over the West. My love is a headlight on the Midnight Express. She'll never be mine. She'll never be mine. Though I want all her treasures so simple and fine, I know she'll never be mine. My love's a cantina where I drink with my friends. I called her Dolores and sometimes Cheyenne. I followed her begging all over the West. My love is a headlight on the Midnight Express. She'll never be mine. She'll never be mine. Though I want all her treasures so simple and fine, I know she'll never be mine. My love is the life that a boomer will lead. You chain her with lies, you trap her with greed. My love is a dreamer I follow. someday she'll be mine. Someday she'll be mine. I've won all her treasures, so simple and fine. I know someday she'll be mine. I know someday she'll be mine. Thank you very much, folks. All right, we're going to see if we can get this power connection thing going. Taking all the king's horses and all the king's men, and there is not even any royalty around. Come. We have power. Ooh, there she goes. There she blows. Oh my God. There is power, power, wonder working power. What, how does it go? In the blood of the blood. Oh my God. Well, so I'm splitting my time. If I seem technologically incompetent, it's because I've been spending like half my time in a 19th century farmhouse with no internet, very spotty electricity. I guess it has water, but it's from it stinks. It smells funny. And when you shower in it, you may as well have just jumped in the river. And then I bought a bunch of fancy stuff, and then figuring out it's just, I guess the 20th/21st century has some nice things offered. So. It's a brand new one. I've done it here a couple. This is called Skull Tattoo. I've heard you got a skull tattoo on the inside of your thigh. I am sure the new ones love you and they take you out sometimes. I am certain that the old gods laugh at the poems I wrote. I can hear them drunk and powerless and angry in my throat. Now my Jesus is the ruckus, the three roughhousing teens. Mary Magdalene's a good time gal in Nashville, Tennessee. Doubting Thomas plays a slot machine, wins 1,000 wounds. Can't believe his lucky hand, can't believe it's true. And all my love is a city dove in the station's biggest room. Suicidal thoughts on Tuesday afternoons. Prophecy that tells you someday soon. Got no money in my pocket, got no songs to glorify it. Yeah, my loneliness ain't music yet. I can't fucking describe it, but I'm looking for a meaning deeper than your skull tattoos. I'm looking for a meaning deeper than a skull tattoo. John the Baptist points with certainty where Saint Sebastian looks. I was carried through your city on Missouri's fish hooks. I was carried to the world on the river's coldest terms. My hunger is no spectacle, it's between me and the worms. 'Cause I'd sure as shit suck left hind tit at some soul-sucking job, just to watch you mess good coffee up, to listen to you talk, to let you sleep on Sundays and to wash my best good skin and wake up singing hymns. 'Cause does the resurrection happen? And all I am is the parts of me that ever came between us. It's the things that we don't know that will defeat us. I thank God there are no children now that need us. 'Cause there's no skull tattoo can teach you how to deal with death and the lovers that you've lost, just ones that you ain't yet. There was nothing as real as being wrapped up in your legs, and I hope that when you think of me, you know part of me is dead. And I've been looking for a meaning deeper than a skull tattoo. I've been looking for a meaning deeper than a skull tattoo. Thank you very much. Just do a couple songs about heartbreak in a row and just kind of set the tone. We're gonna have a really fun night actually, because the match sellers are up. So left to your left hand, back to your partner, right, left, grand, so on and so forth. And I realized there's a smell, kind of like a beagle, wafting up, and it's this fiddle player. And she also can't play fiddle very good at all. She's just squeaky and squawky as she can be. So in short, I was in love, and we hung out for a few days, and she showed me around, and then I had to leave. So this is the only leaving song I've ever written, because usually it's really good to leave. I don't know if you know that. You guys should stick around, but it's good to leave. This is called A Girl in Philadelphia. I've been walking through the sunlight with the shadow of my doubt. I've decided to live humble, to look within and go without. I've been walking through the graveyards to test the limits of these songs, and laughed at Deathlok, go ahead, buddy, carry me along. Take my face and I will sing, take my gut and I'll sprout wings. Take my manhood there and every ugly underthing. 'Cause there's a girl in Philadelphia that could still love me. Hair down to her shoulders, dressed down to her knees. They say that being happy will finally make you free, but I think I finally figured out what freedom really means. I think I finally figured out what freedom really means. I work to live, I live to work. I stumble in the dark, but my car and clothes won't presuppose the contents of my heart. And you bet your ass my thoughts go past the slowness of my tongue. I'll do the best I can, I guess, with sweat and blood and cum. And the song is just a symptom, I might never find a cure. Maybe she's a fantasy, for now I just ain't sure. If there's a girl in Philadelphia that could still love me, hair down to her shoulders, dressed down to her knees. They say that being happy will finally I'd like to be the kind of person it's alright the world forgets, but I'd like to die with someone and I just haven't met them yet. Live afraid of being lonesome or die alone and brave. I don't care if I live foolishly, I won't be ashamed. 'Cause out of all the things I've been, I doubt I'll mind oblivion. gamble with my life to change the skin I'm in. 'Cause there's a girl in Philadelphia that might could still love me. Hair down to her shoulders, dress down to her knees. They say that being happy will finally make you free. But I think I finally figured out what freedom really means. I think I finally figured out what freedom really means. Thank you very much, folks. That's not on the record or anything. I hope it is someday. I'm glad you like it. I like it too. All right, well, this is a famous Jimi Hendrix song. One person in here got excited though, right? No, this is better than Jimi Hendrix. This is classic. This is classic. It was the Westport Saloon that gave me the company Jones or Cojones, the non-gender specific Cojones. I guess in my case, gender specific Cojones, to sing this song because I always thought this song was way too simple to sing. Because it's just, there's nothing to it. No matter how much you think you're going to try to write a great song, the folk tradition always comes back and gives you a song that's better than anything you could have possibly come up with. So I think this is maybe the best folk song that there is, and I'll fight you in the street over that, or whether Bernie Sanders is the only leftist candidate in the Democratic field right now. But you know, we can fight over all kinds of things. We got all night, so let's do it. This is a Careless Love. That is out of tune. It's all right with me. Oh love, careless love. Love someone that don't love me. Oh, love, careless love. Love someone that don't love me. Thank you very much. Isn't that an ace tune? I get it. Everybody's supposed to be writing complex, interesting pieces about the human condition, but man, that pretty much nails it right there. And the first person I ever heard sing that was the poet Carl Sandburg, and he can barely play guitar. It sounds like he's trying not to drop it, and he goes like, love, love, careless love, love, careless love. And it sounds really beautiful, though, if you're willing to give him the time of day. Which is, I think, the best thing about folk music in general, is if you're willing to give it the time of day, it might just be awesome. If you listen to your grandma singing while she does the dishes, you might just find something that you really like. I know I do. All right, I'm going to do a Blind Willie McTell tune. Blind Willie McTell was this great 12-string guitar player, lived in Atlanta, and recorded in the 1920s and 30s. I like him because he represents this cross-section, this rapidly industrializing city of Atlanta in the Reconstruction South. It becomes just a textile kind of magnet. And so as it industrializes and a whole bunch of people move into this city that was previously rural, you got guys like McTell, like combining all these kind of urban and rural elements in blues. So that's why I like him. He plays on this enormous 12-string guitar. I'm just going to play on this little 6-string. This is, I think, his masterpiece. This is Dying Crap Shooters Blues, kind of a funeral procession song. Little Jesse was a gambler, night and day. Well, he used crooked cards and dice. Nice fella, good-hearted, but he had no soul. Heart was hard and cold like ice. Jesse was a wild, reckless gambler, won a gang of change. Many gamblers' heart he left in pain. Began to spend and lose his money, began to be blue and all alone. Once more his heart had even turned to stone. What broke Jesse's heart when he was blue and all alone? Sweet Lorena packed up and gone. Police come, shot my friend Jesse down. Said, boys, I got to die today. Had a gang of crap shooters gathered round his coffin side. Hear the words he had to say. I guess I ought to know how I'd like to go. He said, I want 3 crap shooters be my pallbearers. Let them all be decked out in black. Want 9 men going to my graveyard, honey, only 8 men coming back. I want the judge and solicitor jail me 14 times to paint a crooked card on my hearse. Don't say the crap shooters never grieve over me. My life's been a doggone curse. Well, send poker players to my graveyard, dig my grave with the ace of spades. Want 9 policemen in my funeral march, I share playing blackjack, lead the parades. I want the judge and solicitor jail me 14 times to put a paradise in my shoe. Let a deck of cards be my tombstone, buddy, got them dying crap shooters blues. Yeah, let a deck of cards be my tombstone, buddy, got them dying crap shooters blues. 16 real good crap shooters, 29 racket men to play a song, 16 racket men gambling, couple tenant bar while I'm rolling along. 122 ladies out of the Hampton Hotel, 29 out of South Bell, 16 ladies out of North Atlanta. Jesse didn't come out so swell. Now his head was aching, heart was thumping. Little Jesse went bouncing and jumping. Folks don't be standing around Jesse crying. Won't ever do the Charleston while he's dying. Say 1 foot up and a toenail dragging. Put my boy Jesse in the hoodoo wagon. Come on, mama, with that can of booze. The dying crap shooters blues. I mean, it's the dying crap shooters blues. Thank you very much. It's a pick. What? It's my pick? Really? This is an authentic tortoiseshell pick that I left at your gig 6 months ago. I left it on your man. That is, you can't buy these. You can get a turtle crossing the street, but you can't legally harvest its shell to make a. That's liberal America for you right there. You can kill your own tortoise on the street, and you can't take its shell. Oh well, I mean we don't have tortoises here, do we? You can kill your own box turtle. You can kill your own tortoise. I don't. Anyways. All right, I'm gonna do a little comic number. This is called the High Tone Dance. I learned this from an old cowboy singer named Steve Cormier in New Mexico, and Steve is he's in his 60s, and he actually did a bunch of cowboy day labor. He hates all these what he calls showbiz cowboys like myself who just wear a cool hat and love fashion. He really wants you to be like an exploited laborer who does all kinds of work that nobody else wants to do for almost no money. So I don't do that. I'm a musician. There's enough musicians in the room, and I got critical mass here. That's kind of unfair here. I could just do banjo player jokes the rest of the night and have it go just as well. Anyhow, I went to his house in last December and got him drunk and clogged his toilet, and he taught me this song. So this is called the High Tone Dance. Tells the story of a cowboy going into a bar in Denver and finding out that everybody there has a lot more money than him, and that he doesn't feel comfortable at all. And this is a tune. I believe that this was written in the teens at some point. At one point, Steve Cormier insisted it was from 1901. So those of you with your history handbooks, don't hold me to it. Here we go. Well, you can't expect a cowboy to educate his shanks in etiquette-ish fashion under aristocratic ranks, for he's often been accustomed to shaking heel and toe at those rattling rancher dances where that kind of etiquette folks that don't really much go. So you can bet I had 'em laughing in this awful sort of way. I had 'em yanking up their squitters in excited sort of play. When I happened into Denver, perchance to take a prance in the snooze and easy measures of a high-tone dance. So when I got amongst those ladies in their frocks so fleecy white, and the dudes topped off in wrappings that were truly out of sight, I tell you what, folks, I got embarrassed. Oh, I could not help but keep from feeling like a burro in a flock of pretty sheep. And every step I took was awkward. Oh, I blushed so bloomin' red, just like the principal decoration of a turkey gobbler's head. Well, the ladies said was seldom that they'd ever had a chance to see an old-time puncher at a high-tone dance. So I cut me out a heifer. Then I know that you shouldn't call girls heifers in the 21st century, but this song was written in the 19-teens or 1901, depending on how drunk Steve Cormier is when you ask him how old the song is. And so, ostensibly, it was a different time back then, so things were different. You could call girls heifers. And this song was written by a cowboy, so heifer is ostensibly very close to his metaphorical Nezpa compared to the rest of us. And if you're going to sing all these old weird folk songs and change the lyrics to make a primarily white middle-class audience comfortable with them, you're doing a disservice to all of these songs, which is that folk songs have buried inside of them many of the problems that are still endemic to American society, like racism and sexism and colonialism and homophobia and all that stuff like that we're to some degree working on now. So I cut me out a heifer from that flock of pretty girls. I sidled up beside her just to dance that dreamy whirl. Well, she put her arms around me in this loving sort of way, and she drifted into heaven as the band began to play. But I could feel my neck a-burning from her nose's breathing heat. As she do-si-doed around me, that heifer kept stepping on my feet. And she gazed into my squinters with a soul-dissolving glance, quite conducive to the pleasures of a high-tone dance. So every part of me was tingling from that music of delight as I squeezed that little filly girl uncomfortably tight. But she never made a bellow, and the glances of her eyes seemed to thank me for the pleasures of a genuine surprise. She snuggled up against me in this loving sort of way, and I drifted into heaven as the band began to play. I tell you what, folks, the joys of heaven ain't a cussed circumstance when favorably or disfavorably compared with the hugamania pleasures of a high-tone dance. So when they struck that old cotillion of that music bill of fare, every bit of devil in me seemed to take out on a tear. I let out a cowboy war whoop, and I started into rag. Oh, I cut in with my trotters till the floor began to sag. Oh, my partner, she got seasick, and she stumbled for her seat. So I balanced to the next gal, but she dodged me slick and neat. I tell you what, folks, I pulled the creases off their go-to-meeting pants when I put the cowboy trimmings on that high-tone dance. There it is. Isn't that stupid? That's become one of my favorite stupid songs that there is. And I like it because when you imagine that you're an exploited laborer, huh? Hey, well, imagine that we're all exploited laborers in this world, right? And that I don't want to get political up here at all, okay? And you're illiterate, and you end up writing that song, and and somebody comes on. Nobody's going to come along and be like, "That's a fucking masterpiece," because nobody else can read either. I think that's a great tune because of that. Let's see. I'm gonna do another one on the bones here. I'm gonna do one from the 1930s. This is called the Cotton Milk Colic. This was a big radio hit in the 1930s. It's about being poor and working at a textile mill. Oh, and these are bones. In case you were going to ask, these are in my right hand here, house left. These are actual cow bones, and in my left, these are two pieces of oak because I can't afford to kill two cows just for these little pieces of bone. I don't know the name of the cow, but I did ask the company that I bought these from if they knew the names of the cows, and they said that they had been asked that so many times that they had never come up with a funny answer. So if you have a good name for a cow, you can write it on the back of a $100 bill and put it in my merch case over there. All right, here it is, the Cotton Milk Colic. Well, let me tell you, people, something that's true. When you work at the mill, tell you what you gotta do. Get up in the morning before daylight, labor all day until it gets night. Work all day and get pale in the face, standing so long in the same damn place. Along comes the boss, hard as he can tear, wants you to think he's a grizzly bear. It's ash to ashes, dust to dust, let the poor man live and the rich man bust. If you want to get your supper, you better run. Now blow that whistle right before you're done. When payday comes, boy, you won't have a penny to pay your bills, 'cause you got so many. Sometimes you hear a noise like a pecker would. Only the merchants trying to sell their goods. All those boys just about gray, studying to get all the poor man's pay. It's ash to ashes, dust to dust. Let the poor man live and the rich man bust. Well, some people run all the mill folk down. Mill folk people make the world go round. They have a little drink, have a little fun. Everything's done, now rake out the mud. I left the mountains when I was stripped. Never will forget that awful trip, 'cause I walked all day behind an ample wagon. When I got to town, my ass was a dragging. It's ash to ashes, dust to dust. Let the poor man live and the rich man bust. When winter time comes, there's hell to pay. Go to the boss, gonna have to say, I need a load of wood, need a ton of coal. If everything's bad, I'll go in the hole. Gotta buy groceries at some chain store. Can't afford for to pay no more. And if I don't starve, I'm a son of a gun. Can't buy beans without no money. It's ash to ashes, dust to dust. Let the poor man live and the rich man bust. It's ash to ashes, Dust to dust, let the poor man live and the rich man bust. Thank you. All right. I'll do a song about drinking. And I'll take a big shot of Four Roses before I do it. Delicious. right on cue. It's great to be out here at the Westport Saloon, just sipping on the finest whiskey here in the salon. Here is to your health and the health of your mother. Free Tibet, State of Palestine. I don't want to get political here. All right, okay. Uh, this is old rye whiskey. Rye whiskey, I cry. If I don't get rye whiskey, I surely will die. Beefsteak when I'm hungry, rye whiskey when I'm dry. Greenbacks when I'm hard up, religion when I die. Jack of diamonds, I know you from old. You robbed my poor pockets, silver and gold. If the river was whiskey and I was a duck, I'd dive to the bottom, I'd never come up. But the river ain't whiskey and I ain't no duck. I'll go to the barroom and get one sweet suck. Jack of diamonds, I know you from old. You robbed my poor pockets of silver and gold. Woo! Tie hacking's too difficult, investments too slow, train robbing's too dangerous, it's gambling I'll go. Jack of diamonds, you've been my downfall. I love you and I hate you and I love you for it all. Jack of diamonds, I know you from old. You robbed my poor pockets, silver and gold. Well, all join hands, circle to the left, circle south. Put a little moonshine in your mouth. Say back to the right towards Arkansas, eating cornbread and possum jaw. Gent number 1 to gent number 2. Circle up 4 like you know what to do. That gent moves on, circles up 3. Steals that lady like honey from a bee. 6 go forward and back, you holler, touch him on the butt and give him $1. Alaman left to your left hand and promenade that pretty little ass. Head on the ground, feet up your ass. Some trad square dance calls there. I'll do a song about drugs now. This is the one that gets radio play, despite and then people and then radio DJs are always like, "Why do you gotta? Can't you give us one of these without the cuss words?" The answer is no. It's got to have the cuss words in it. You got to know that I'm a badass. Song about drugs, rock and roll, folk music, rock and roll, folk rock. All right, this is about doing too much cheap cocaine and calling your mom, pulling out your Nokia flip phone because it's 2007, and you're 17. I think I was 17 in 2007. I don't want to date myself here. Well, I'd like to take myself out on a date, but I don't want to date myself. I like easier girls than me. I mean emotionally easier. Anyhow. Thank you. All right. Cheap cocaine. 8 miles out of Memphis, I'm staring at the rain. 8 ball left of the cheap cocaine. Looking at the sunlight right through the lines. Couldn't tell you what it is, it's always been mine. Now that I'm gone, I think of the man that white clutched in his phone pen. Said, hey brother, I hope you get straight. That I don't need him in the world. Hey mama, I've been staring at the rain. A little heartache, little soul pain. Up all night on the cheap cocaine, trying to make it better, but it's always the same. Well, I made a few new friends in a Rockford bar. Told them all the lies, I said I was in charge. The after party where the folks had been loose. Partied with the metalheads with gin and juice. Hungover as hell, I slapped the shit on the lawn. I'm tired of 20-somethings and their punk rock songs. Stumbled towards the dome, saying, how you doing, boy? It's been too long. Saying, how you doing, boy? It's been too long. Hey, mama, I've been staring at the rain. A little heartache, little soul pain. Up all night on the cheap cocaine, trying to make it better, but it's always the same. On the streets of Chicago, with sidekicks out, hitting up the bars on Viagra. Men pick up women on
couldn't tell you why.
Thank you very much. There it is, Song About Drugs. Thank you. That's the one to work the tip jar on. Is yes, I still do drugs. I promise. Even after I started doing simple folk songs for joy and profit, I still occasionally will sing a song about drugs. We'll do a brand new song. Got sex on my phone, I got love in my life. I'm nobody's husband, I'm nobody's wife. I'm a great disappointment to my family so dear. In my basement apartment on 10 grand a year. And all my aggression, I ain't what I seem. I'm milk and I'm honey, I'm beer and ice cream. I've made my investments on things you can't see. My mind bought me sick, but my body is clean. I've made my investments on things you can't see. Anointed with oils, I am lovely and clean. And I have grown most beautiful in darksome hours. Lipstick and lace, glory and power. When the doors are closed, I can be what I feel. Shit, fire, glory, glory, love is pain. God is real. When the doors are closed, I can be what I feel. Shit, fire, glory, glory, love is pain. God is real. I've got sex on my phone, I got love in my life. I'm nobody's husband, I'm nobody's wife. I'm no disappointment to my lover so dear. In my basement apartment on 10 grand a year. Thank you very much. Do another original, I'll keep it sad here. I don't do that many angry songs anymore just because I'm not very angry. Now I'm really happy. But here's an angry love song. I normally do this with a very beautiful and talented cello player with long flowing red hair. If you would imagine me as a beautiful cello player with long flowing red hair, that would really help. It's called The Small Things. Hope I die in Sedgwick County on a cold and wet October. Turn the earth over, lay me in, lay me in. And I hope you make the drive up. Hope it breaks your shitty car. Hope you bring your guitar. how the rapture saves the soul. Honey, I don't know if I believe in heaven. Well, in my head it's always dark and bare. Honey, I can't think of an afterlife worth living. When in your heaven I know I ain't there. When in your heaven I know I ain't there. And if I cry, it's for the small things. 2 beers on a Wednesday night, or church songs in the firelight. If you sing, sing for the big thing hanging over our heads. The best you've done is low, it still ends up dead. Gonna drag me up to heaven to see old St. Peter in nothing but a wife beater. Tell him what I done, what I done. I'm gonna fight with all the angels, get drunk in heaven's bars. Saying goodbye is too hard. Cut me off, cut me off. Honey, I don't know if I believe in heaven. Well, in my head it's always dark and bare. Honey, I can't think of an afterlife worth living. When in your heaven I know I ain't there. When in your heaven I know I ain't there. And if I cry, it's for the small things. One summer spent hitching, sweet kisses in the kitchen. If you sing, sing for the big thing hanging over our heads. That the best you've done is low, it still ends up dead. Honey, I don't know if I believe in heaven. In my head it's always dark and bare. Honey, I can't think of an afterlife worth living. When in your heaven I know I ain't there. When in your heaven I know I ain't there. When in your heaven I know I ain't there. Thank you, friends. Well, that went fast on account of the technical difficulties. I probably took up a good amount of time there. So I'm going to do 2 or 3 more. I'm going to do 3 whole tunes more here. Thank you, brother. I appreciate that. I admit I'll go to bed kicking myself because this is all I have to think about all day. I need another hobby. Is that what you call a job? Another hobby? I don't know. And somebody's sure, you're certain. Okay, that's good. Well, then I'm confused because I'm having a great time. All right. Well, I'm gonna do a hymn. I'll do a hymn about death, and then I'll do a tune in Spanish, and then I'll do a sing along. All right. Here's an old tune about death. This is a hymn I learned in a church in Springdale, Arkansas. This is my favorite hymn of all time. I'd like to be buried into this hymn. It's called Prospect, and it was written in the 19th century or the 18th century in Scotland by a hymnodist named Isaac Watts, and then it was set to music in the 19th century in Missouri. And so if that doesn't tell a little bit of the American story, I don't know what does. Other things might, but that does too. So this is Why Should We Start in Fear to Die? Why should we start in fear to die? What timorous worms we mortals are! Death is the gate to endless joy, and yet we fear to enter there. And yet we fear to enter there. The pains, the groans, the dying strife, they fright approaching souls away, and we shrink back again to life, fond of our prison, fond of our clay. Oh, if my Lord would come and meet, my soul would stretch her wings in haste, fly fearless through death's iron gate, nor feel the terrors as she passed. Oh, Jesus can make a dying bed feel soft as downy pillows are, and on his breast I lay my head, and breathe my life out sweetly there, and breathe my life out sweetly there, and breathe my life out sweetly there. There's a great old folk singer, Almeda Riddle, from Heber Springs, Arkansas, and she used to say, take that ballad and pitch it as high as you can. Then when you pitched it as high as you can, you're going to sing it as high as you can, pitch it one step higher. I just did that. And I live to regret it. All right, I'm going to do an old Mexican folk song. I learned this from an old cowboy singer who was white and didn't speak a word of Spanish. But I wanted to learn to play it because he was kind of an asshole, and a little bit. He had some of the problems that you associate with contemporary hillbillydom. You know what I mean? In terms of his beliefs about people of other races and genders. And is that working? Very fine. No? Oh man. Well, we will call an audible. What a shame. That's it? There it is. Wow. Yeah. I did it. See, now I don't know if you guys are familiar with this, but this is very fancy new technology. This is called tape, or I believe tape. Here, that's what you guys probably call it here in the Westport Saloon. And it is holding on what you call a microphone. And this little doohickey has a switch attached to it. And if I forget to man the switch, nothing happens at all. That working now? Oh, good. I didn't spend $500 for nothing, but I did spend it for almost nothing. All right, so this is La Canción Mixteca. It's about being as lonely as a leaf in the wind. I may or may not sneak in a polka at the very end of this. Estoy del suelo donde he nacido. Inmensa nostalgia invada mi pensamiento. Y al verme tan solo y triste cuando hay el viento, quisiera llorar, quisiera morir de sentimiento. Quisiera llorar, quisiera morir.
te coló el viento. Quisiera llorar, quisiera morir de sentimiento. Quisiera llorar, quisiera morir de sentimiento. Quisiera llorar, quisiera morir de sentimiento.
Here's the polka. I always write about sneak in. Here it is. Here we go. Thank you very much. Sure. Travis has thrown out a request, and so I have to do it because he owns the whole club, and he can kick us all out if I don't do it. He also said that this one will cost you. I don't know what that meant, but that was pretty intimidating. So I'm gonna go ahead and do this song. This is one of my favorite. This is my love song to the state of Arkansas. Really, it's a love song to the Ozark Mountains. Really, it's a love song to anybody that makes a living beneath their means and makes art anyways.
Well, my grandmother grew up in a two-room shack. The last of 7 children, she used to dress in gunny sacks. Said that times were hard, families scattered near and far, like seeds into the dirt, like the dimmest set of stars. Now there's preachers every Sunday, muscadines each fall. I'd like to die in Arkansas if I should die at all. Yeah, you could call it alchemy, some ancient art of old. Hillbillies with no money spun their garbage into gold. Hillbillies with no money spun their garbage into gold. That's us. 'Cause I swear a square dance saved my life one hot summer's day. I swear I was about to kill myself, I swear I was bound away. I swear I heard the voice of God between the caller's cries. An Ozark fiddle tune, a pretty girl's brown eyes. Now there's preachers every Sunday, muscadines each fall. I'd like to die in Arkansas if I should die at all. Yeah, I thought that being poor would weigh heavy on my soul. It's a little drunken happiness like this that makes me whole. It's a little drunken happiness like this that makes me whole. And you say that anyone could do this. I know that's so. I know I ain't Walt Whitman. I know she ain't Banjo. You can't account for taste, but I know my north from south. It's a goddamn folk art masterpiece when she opens up her mouth. It's a goddamn folk art masterpiece when she opens up her mouth. Now there's preachers every Sunday, muscadines each fall. I'd like to die in Arkansas if I should die at all. Yeah, I thought that being happy was never in the cards. 3 chords and a song to sing might get us pretty far. 3 chords and a song to sing could get us pretty far. Well, there's preachers every Sunday, muscadines each fall. I'd like to die in Arkansas if I should die at all. Says most of it. What's that? Short for $2 I can do almost anything. $2 will get you a half and half in your coffee. Just a little half and half in your coffee. Fresh milk. Okay. But I gotta get out of here, so I'm starting to stink. So this has to be my last one. That means that because the last one was a sing-along that had great heart and spirit and was going to make you cry, you're just going to have to do that through this comic number. I hope that's okay. We're just going to have to pretend. It does have a sing-alongular component if we have the conjoined non-gender specific cojones to do it together. So here is here's the sing-alongular component. It goes like so. So I'm going to say, boy howdy, and when I say boy howdy, you're gonna say hot dog, right back at me. But you got to do it real quick. Okay, so boy howdy. There you go. That's perfect. I really can't wait to hear the Match Sellers. I really am so stoked on that because the last time I saw them, I can't remember who I was seeing them with, but the last time I saw them, I fell in love with the nearest Target next to me, just because it put me in such a damn good mood, and that plus. An open, a paid bar is gonna be pretty good, I think. I'm pretty stoked on it. I intend to at least do a little bit of dancing on my own or with somebody else. So this is a song called Boy Howdy. And I wrote this for some of you are close, some of you are quicker than others out there. I wrote this for my drunk uncle. I would like to dedicate this to the drunk uncles present in the audience and the drunk uncles of the future. Drunk aunts who would like to become drunk uncles someday, follow your truth. All right. Them coals turning bright red, firewood's in the truck bed, rivers running low this time of year. Ragweeds on the turnpike, bedrooms mostly Christmas lights. Sorry friend, I don't lend tools. Boy howdy, pretty good life. I got a pretty little house, pretty big wife. Lets me fry her pork chop twice a week. She's a euphemism. Well, hot plate, baby went and made a cake. I never seen a heaven that didn't have a snake. Well, hot plate, baby went and made a cake. I never seen a heaven that did not have a snake. The blue jays, the mean ass bird, ugliest song you've ever heard. Get off my porch, I'll kick your ass. Everything she does is magic. I watch her catch a lizard. Careful or his tail will come right off. Boy howdy, pretty good life. I got a pretty little house, pretty big wife. Lets me fry her catfish twice a week, which is another euphemism. Well, swamp roast, sweat stain, get money, make it rain. Cold beer, tin can, Cadillac, Mustang. Well, swamp roast, sweat stain, get money, make it rain. Cold beer, tin can, Cadillac, Mustang. Slow motion this time on swamp roast, sweat stain, get money, make it rain. Cold beer, tin can, Cadillac, Mustang. The doctor asked me where it hurts. Born to fish, forced to work. Don't let him tell you what your broken heart's worth. Fire ant on the sugar trail, tail feathers on a nightingale. Arrowheads and bones is all you'll find. Boy howdy, pretty good life. I got a pretty little house, pretty big wife.
never seen a bald number, bullets wouldn't scatter. Yeah, she's thick as a forest and a cavalry of bushwhackers. Never seen a bald number, bullets wouldn't scatter. So I was in London, and everybody said, and not everybody, but some dude, some chap, I believe, back at the bar said, what the hell does all that mean? And I had to tell him they're euphemisms. And he said, well, what's that? And I said, don't worry, euphemism. Goddamn, I'll be go to hell. This bar's mostly peanut shells. If you drive, we can play pool. Hot pockets, sweet potato pie. Saturday, Sunday rolling by. Take off your pants, let's watch TV. Boy, howdy, pretty good life. I got a pretty little house, pretty big wife. I can't recall my ex-wife's name. But the love you lost is right where you left it, or right gone forever, boy, go ahead, forget it. Yeah, the love you lost is right where you left it, or right gone forever, boy, fuck it, forget it. Them coals are turning bright red, firewoods and the truck bed, rivers running low this time of year. Ragweeds on the turnpike, bedrooms, most of the Christmas lights. Sorry, friend, I don't lend tools. Boy, howdy. Thank you very much, friends, for coming. My name is Willi, Carlisle. I hope that you'll stick around for the Match Sellers, which is going to be a fucking awesome show. I really can't wait to do that. I'd like to take a second before I end to say very quickly that Black Lives Matter and that the future is queer and female and that we all have to work on it together. And if you want to fight about that, we can go right outside into that alleyway and fight, because I think that there's less police here finally, because we're not living in a police state in Westport. I also do want to say that the state of Alabama should not be legislating women's bodies, and that there is no ethical consumption under late capitalism, and I do take cash and credit over there at the merch stand. All right. Thank you.